This is the Amp Hour Podcast, recorded December 5th, 2011. Episode 72, Kismetic, Keithley, Katowse.
Welcome to the Amp Hour. I'm Dave Jones from the EEV blog.
And I'm Chris Gamble from Chris Gamble's Analog Life.
And you are free.
Free, yeah, I'm free. Free for a week. I got a week.
Yeah, free for a week. Do tell.
Yeah,
Do tell.
so-
Some big news on the Chris Gamble front.
Yeah, my life is about to change. I recently left my job at Keithley Instruments, and I'm moving on to unnamed company because I don't name the company I'm working for, at least not on the Amp Hour.
Yeah,
but
fair call.
yeah, I'm excited. I don't know. I got a week off, and this is the best part.
Right.
I got all the time in the world, man. I spent the day today pulling apart an old electrophoresis supply that my sister-in-law gave me. She picked it out of the trash at her bio building, and
Right.
yeah, I've been mucking around in a 1,000-volt supply
Sweet.
all day. Yeah, it's
Doing
great.
nothing, huh?
Yeah.
Just sitting there bumming around.
Oh yeah, drinking beer and.
You say somewhere that this is your first. I think it was on your blog. Maybe I actually
Yeah.
read your blog the other day. Go figure.
Wow.
That you said this is your first week off since you've left school.
I think it is. Yeah.
What the hell, man? What's wrong with
I know. It's well, you know how it is in the U.S. too. There's less vacation time in the U.S.
Oh, right. Yeah. Well, we have almost 4 weeks a year here. So, well, we get 4
That's
weeks a
nice.
year pay.
That's nice.
So.
That's
Yep.
great. And that's on top of like national holidays then too?
That is on top. Yes, we get paid. Yes, I believe so. Geez, so long since I've worked or cared about that sort of stuff.
Yeah, now every day's a vacation, right,
That's
buddy?
right. Yeah. Oh boy.
Oh man. Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah, so we
here's
get
standard
4.
2 weeks. 2 weeks
Okay,
here.
2 weeks. Yeah, ours is 4. Ours is 4 paid weeks. If you're, if you have a standard 9 to 5 job, then yeah.
Yeah, and I usually don't I don't go on big holidays, so I don't,
Right.
travel that much.
Right. Just hoarding all that cash, huh?
No, I don't even
All
get the
that-
cash.
All that cash
I
you're getting from engineering.
I like taking like a Friday off. I'd rather take a Friday off throughout the year, a bunch of those and get 3-day weekends than
Yep.
take a whole week off. And
Yeah.
it's just preference. As
Yeah.
I get older, I'll be able to, afford vacations and it's not like I can't afford vacations. I just don't make it a priority. Basically, that's the real
Right.
thing.
Okay.
So,
Yep.
yeah, this is my first one off, really. And I used to work a lot more too at my first job at
And
Samsung.
you got a week off and you're not going anywhere. You're bumming around home.
Oh man, I got a
Working
list.
on
I have a
electronics.
list.
You nerd.
35 items long. I am so excited about it. I got projects to do. I got housework that I'm going to, put in shelves and all this other crap and clean up the bench, reworking
And
the
you're
bench.
pissing away your time recording the Amp Hour.
Oh, this is my favorite part of the week, buddy.
Right.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, I'm excited. I'm really
So
excited.
you used to work for Keithley.
Keithley Instruments, yeah, in Cleveland. And,
Some people knew, just like some people knew that I worked for Altium.
Right.
It wasn't a
I mean-
huge secret, but
Right.
like you, I didn't really like to say that I worked there. I just like to
Yeah.
ignore the fact that I worked there. And yep.
Yeah, and I can talk about electronics without talking about work, and I can talk, like just stuff that just
course,
general
there's-
ideas and abstract it out. Like if I'm talking about a linear regulator that I've encountered, it doesn't need to be like something I'm working on. It's
No,
just something I
exactly.
encountered. So that's why, and I think it's a good idea to separate work and
Yep,
hobby
yeah.
stuff.
Same
So,
here.
yeah, but
There's
yeah,
so many
I mean,
things to talk about. The world of electronics is infinite, so
It is.
it's not
It
like
is.
shorter stuff.
The
You know,
tough part
people
was
said
that the tough part is that you like test and measurement so much, and that if people have ever noticed, I mean, every time Dave starts talking about test and measurement,
Agilent or
actually, every time he brought up Agilent, who's one of Keithley's competitors, I would always just kind of clam up and be like, "Yep,
hope
Yep.
Dave shuts up soon and changes the topic.
yeah."
That's
and
great.
That got a little tougher when Keithley got bought by Danaher, and that's
Yes, yep.
yeah. So Danaher obviously owns Tektronix as well and Fluke.
Yeah,
and,
the evil Danaher group, as I
Oh.
keep calling them. Yep.
I call him Papa Danaher. And it's
They're
it's,
evil. They have what's called the Danaher way. And it's
Yeah.
the Danaher way or the highway. It's like the HP way, except you get screwed, That's
Yeah, I'm just a lowly engineer there. I didn't really experience a lot of that, but
okay. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, no,
it's,
I've heard some horror stories out of tech. I was almost going to do a blog on it once. I had so many. Well, when the big when the Keithley buyout happened, and I heard lots of stories from people.
Yeah, I've talked to Jerry about it because Jerry's got a lot of friends out in Portland who used to work at tech, and there's a lot of bad blood out there, and it's tough. Like it was.
Yeah.
Tech was really big. I mean, it was
Massive.
a huge. It probably too big. I mean, honestly, in a modern day world, I think it was too big, but. That doesn't make it any easier on all the really smart engineers that lost their job, right?
Yeah, that's right.
And you compare even just the old scopes and just how much more, they were more component level, right? So there's a lot more individual circuits to work on versus today it's more ASIC based, and so there's a lot of efficiencies there too. I don't know. I really can't speak to tech because I didn't work there. What I can say about it all though is that, and this is the thing I wanted to focus on is that. I love the people at Keithley and the people I met at Tech, and man, they were
cool.
I met people at Fluke too. I met people that worked on the calibrator, the Fluke calibrator.
Yep.
Man, it's just I'm really gonna miss the test and measurement industry just because great people who like really challenging problems, and that's it's kind of out of my life now. Not like I'm going to like the dum house, but like it's
right.
It's just a different industry, so there's different things to focus on. So.
I can say something positive about the Danaher group if you like.
Oh, all right, let's hear it.
Being so massively ruthless and the Danaher way, it does actually work apparently, and they are apparently a very massively profitable group. And when they take over companies, they know how to slash them and slice them and dice them and get the absolute maximum efficiency out of them, and they do. And they return, like, I think I read somewhere it was like 30% per year for the last 10 years. Like, they're just brilliant at, absolutely slaughtering companies until they're so efficient that they. Yeah. But too bad for all the engineers that work there. That's
part of the problem. Is like if you're good at business, you're not very good at necessarily
engineering goodwill,
making it cushy, right? Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
What companies do they own? They own Fluke, they own Keithley, they own Tektronix.
Seabird is another one.
Yeah, they
Beckman
own Mega.
Coulter?
Do they own?
No.
No, they.
No. They own a lot of different. They started in the Danaher started with like more tool and die kind of companies, and they kind of built up from there, and that's where they developed a lot of their system. But like I said, I don't really know much about it. They just started the test and measurement thing, and that's why Keithley got bought back in whenever it was. So, but yeah, I've seen some rough times at Keithley. I mean, I started there in 2008, and I mean 2009 wasn't easy for anyone, but test and measurement kind of took a nosedive. But
right.
I think I'm leaving on the upswing, which is stupid, but whatever.
Well,
yeah.
Change is as good as a holiday.
Yeah, you said that before.
I know,
think
and I bet you feel like $1 million, right?
Well, the beer helps, but
right.
yeah, I mean, it feels good.
You must feel good. You feel excited, right? You feel like, it's change.
It's not the everyday
new.
slog. It's the I got something big and new coming up, and that's change is definitely great. I mean,
and that'll last about 6 months, and then you'll be you're back in Dilbert land.
Cube farm and we'll see. I mean,
prairie dogging and
I always like that term.
Yeah. Well. Anyway, good luck with your new job. It is apparently a lot more. There will be travel involved, will there not? You can say
travel,
you can
design,
probably say that.
Yeah. I'm planning to travel some more, design a lot more because I was kind of in a manufacturing support role. So
right.
But I get to
obsolescence engineering, huh?
Well, not quite that, but more like once the component obsolescence engineer came to me, I'd go and redesign based on that.
Right.
Yeah. Basically, hey, we can't get this part anymore, and I'd go redesign the whole box because I had to. Because there's nothing else to do.
That's fun once or twice, but then when you
it can
do
wear
it all
on
the
you.
time. Yeah.
But I mean, I get to work on a lot of cool stuff too. I mean, I worked on like the electrometer stuff. I worked on a lot of picoammeters and the like the low level stuff.
Yep.
And if people don't know, I mean, like, so I like I said, I've never talked about Keithley on here before. But one thing that is worth getting is their the low level measurement handbook. and that's actually a free book.
Yep.
There's an online version, but there's also there's a print version I think you can request. And I definitely have that book. That's a great book, honestly.
Yes,
that should definitely be on your
seen
shelf.
It's excellent.
Yeah. You don't have it?
I don't have the print version, no, but I've seen the electronic copy.
Okay, yeah. It's definitely worth getting. It's a good book. I didn't get it at first. It took me a long time. I didn't quite understand it, even when I started working there, and it just like the value of it. But there's a lot of good stuff in there, like theoretical limits and counts and all that other stuff.
Yeah, when you're talking down at the, you're counting each electron,
Yeah.
That's the serious end of the business,
Oh yeah, that was the fun stuff. Yeah, there's one instrument that you can measure 100 attoamps at a time. I think that's really the resolution. That's not the accuracy. And there is in measurement science, there's a big difference there.
Yes, measurement and the resolution and accuracy is a huge thing. A lot of experienced and beginner people confuse often.
Right. Right. I'm sure I'll forget that in about a month.
Yeah, they come along. My multimeter has 4.5 digits accuracy, and it's no, it's resolution.
Right. Yeah, usually accuracy is percentage, right?
And it has a whole bunch of factors, and it usually doesn't match the resolution. Although your accuracy can match the resolution or be better than your resolution, but not usually. So
not usually, because then that's more dependent on the AD and everything else too. So
yeah.
Yeah, and the rest.
But there's a lot of people who think all those extra digits are wasted. Well, if the accuracy is only 3.5 digits, then why is it 4.5 digit meter? Well, because it's useful, because you can see relative differences. That's when you get into the difference between absolute and relative measurement. So that's when resolution matters. You can have a 7.5 digit, high end, one of those super HP high end multimeters or something like that.
HP, come on, Dave. Come
on. HP made the duck's guts. You don't see any Keithley meters in cow labs, mate. Come on.
Yeah, you do.
Use HP.
Well, yeah.
The old school ones with the
3458s.
Yeah, those sort of things.
Yeah, those
beautiful
8.5 digit. Those things are.
Anyway, you can have one of those, and it can only be accurate to 1%, but it's still bloody useful. As an 8.5 digit multimeter or something. So.
Yeah. Calibration science is crazy. Like even how they just compare it all back to NIST standards and stuff like that.
Yep.
I never really got into the calibration science stuff, but it's crazy. It's all kind of based on one reference, and it's cool. I mean, usually you're usually in the 4.5 digit land, right, Dave?
Yeah, that sort of thing. I have often delved deeper than that, but not too often.
Yeah,
so.
Yeah, it's kind of a tough proposition if you're a hobbyist. Like 4.5 digits. That's kind of all you need. I mean, unless you're really
unless you got something really exotic you're working on, then
yeah, that's part of the problem. So I mean, I've got both. I've got a 6.5. I've got a 4.5. I've got a 2.5.
2.5.
Oh well, yeah, that was free at a trade show. So.
What? Do tell. Yeah. What a 2.5 digit meter?
Oh yeah, it's a piece of junk.
That's pathetic.
It was free.
You can buy $2 ones that are at least 3.5 digits. So I don't know how much is 2.5.
Well, it was free. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. They didn't want to spend that extra buck, I guess. I don't know.
Oh goodness. No, that's sad. Let's not go there. Yeah. Speaking of calibration and cow labs, I looks like I might be visiting a good cow lab in January. Yes.
Nice.
Yes.
Where's that going to be?
That will be down in Victoria, Melbourne again.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Yep. You going on there for something else, and then you're going to visit?
No. They want me to come down there and have a look at their cow lab. So.
Well, there you go. You can settle it right there if they have any Keithley stuff, if they got a little HP stuff.
Okay. Well, we'll take a look. Yeah. I mean, I've got the cow lab around the corner, which is the Trio Smart Cow Lab, and they've, I can wander in there anytime and use. I didn't see any Keithley stuff in there. I'm sorry to tell you, but that is sort of like a, it's a NADA certified cow lab, but it's not, it's not like
it's not like the cow lab.
It's not like the cow lab. It's a, it's a nice little cow lab.
So this one you're going to then, is it like one of the better ones on the continent kind of thing?
It's Agilent's cow lab. Yep.
Oh, cool. That's great.
So and they've got this portable calibration truck which goes around, and
really?
Hopefully, it's like a shipping container actually. So I'm led to believe.
Okay.
They were telling me. So Yeah, and hopefully, when that's there, I'll get a tour of that, because you can move that around the country, and you can ship it around the place. Hence, it being in a shipping container, you can put it on a truck and you can drive it in the middle of Whoop Whoop. And that's important for many companies, because they can't send you their gear. You have to bring the Cow Lab to them. And
that sounds expensive either way, right? I mean,
it's expensive, yeah. And it's actually very difficult to get a portable Cow Lab certified, because, there's vibration and temperature and all sorts of, it's very difficult to actually keep and maintain.
You're not going to drive a reference around, like a pure reference around with you either, right? You got to have that in a climate-controlled environment. Yeah.
Yep. And then you have to have the traceability and the calibration history, and that it's stable after you've shipped this thing, across the middle of Australia, and it's still good, and you've got, so it's really difficult to maintain and expensive to maintain a Cow Lab like that. So hopefully I'll get a tour of that, which would be cool.
That's really cool. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yep. Anyway, I've probably jinxed that one, right?
Yeah. Is that mostly for scopes, or is it for everything?
That's for everything, I think.
Okay.
I think they've got a whole bunch of, most Cow Labs will do a whole range of stuff. They'll do pressure and temperature and all the engineering parameters.
Anything that a sensor, right? I mean, anytime you have a sensor, you need to have, or a transducer as it really is, you need to be able to normalize it against a standard. That's kind of the idea. And yes, a resistor is a standard, folks. Yeah.
And they'll have like flat tables for calibrating flatness, and they'll have and they'll have tables for calibrating hardness of durometers and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, most Cow Labs will be able to do a whole range of measurement stuff like that. So
yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
See, now the one thing,
so many things out there in engineering that you can actually measure. If you go look at them, there's got to be hundreds of different things. It's not just voltage, current, and voltage, current.
I know, but those are the coolest ones, I think. I mean,
well, yeah, of course.
Because that's the thing. Everything comes back to that eventually, right? I mean, if you have a transducer, it's usually coming back to voltage or current. I mean, regardless of what it is. Sometimes flux. Sometimes
if it's an output, it's coming
right.
back to a
I mean,
voltage.
there's always a signal is going to exist in some manner like that, and then you got to go from analog to digital then, and then that's what you need. So there's different levels, I think. I mean, I know what you mean though. Like there's tons of sensors, there's light sensors, everything else, vibration, whatever. But I think eventually signal gets back to analog realm and then digital realm. So
yeah. I've been involved in a lot of that, because a lot of my jobs over the years have been involved in that sort of especially in the seismic and sonar industries. There's lots of exotic stuff involved there, and you've got to measure various things for ceramic material and stuff like that, and other buoyancy material, and you've got to measure a whole bunch of stuff. So it's fun and interesting, rather than just working on Ohm's law each day. It's you have to learn some other stuff. Yeah
Definitely. Although Ohm's law is my bread and butter, so can't speak can't speak against that. I don't know. I was going to say, though, I'm a little worried because I'm really spoiled. Like my bench at work, I had access to infinite amounts of DMMs and picoammeters, electrometers, and smooths and everything. And
what oscilloscopes did Keithley use? What oscilloscope did you have on your bench?
What did I have? It was a TPS 2000, I believe, the battery-powered floating scope, the isolated channel.
Oh, the Tech.
Yeah, the Tech one.
That's the one with the shitty little sample memory.
Yeah, it's an older scope. It's an older scope. They're reviving, I think, but I don't know what I was. I hardly. How often do you store stuff in memory? I mean, like, do you really do that often?
Deep memory's everything, dude.
Not for
me.
me.
Get with the program.
Real time for me, buddy. I mean, like, come on. I mean, like, you're talking. Okay, go ahead.
No, I'm sorry. The first big advancement in digital scopes which made them practical was the TDS 200, which was the real time, okay? 10 times the sample rate was 10 times the bandwidth, right? That was the number one big change in this. The second big change is deep sample memory. It's the duck's guts. Once you go deep, you'll never go back. I'm telling you.
That sounds horrible.
I know.
Oh boy!
I'm telling you, deep memory is everything.
Well, maybe I just haven't had the right scopes.
It's life changing. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's life-changing, let me tell you.
I don't know, man. I mean, most of my stuff's always... So you're saying you'll store stuff and then go back and look at like the whole record?
Well, no, because
and have the resolution for it.
You store, right? You just use it as a regular scope, right? Just you know, like you don't zoom into anything, and then you go, oh, I'll zoom in on that and have a look. And if you've got, and because you didn't mean to store that much,
yeah,
like,
I get it.
Yeah, exactly. And you can zoom in, and that's the beauty of it. And once you know that you can zoom in, then you don't have to set up the scope tricky and then do all that.
Yeah,
Once you've got
and
a
then
deep memory,
resample and
you've
everything.
always got
Yeah.
it. Bang, it's always there.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, I just, I was never found. I mean, either way, it doesn't matter to me.
You've never been spoilt by it, so you haven't.
Right, exactly, and that's how it goes for most people.
You can't go back.
Right. I mean, me using a 6.5-digit DMM every day, right?
Yeah,
I mean, I
exactly.
might be like,
you can't go back. Little pocket
can't
3.5.
measure nanovolts easily, right? I mean, like that's shit. Yeah, I mean it's the same kind of thing. But is that really necessary? Nah, maybe not. I don't know. I don't know.
Of course, you use Tektronix gear because it's a Danaher group, right? Was there any other competing gear, in your company, or was there? Or was it mandatory that you had to use?
No, everybody
Danaher
uses everything. Come on, man. There's different uses for everything. I mean, I don't want to speak too much about specifics in Keithley or anything, but like I'm sure Agilent has Keithley gear.
Yeah. Yeah,
I'm sure Tektronix has Agilent scopes. I'm sure they have Rhodey and Schwartz.
That's all.
There's a lot there, but in terms of just stuff I use that floating scope, and I liked it too. I like the isolated and especially when you're moving grounds around, that's important,
right? Yeah.
So
well, I can tell you as a fact that nobody at Altium, for example, used competing tools.
Oh well, yeah, okay, I see what you're saying. Yeah. Yeah, but that okay. I get it. But that's you can never have. I'm sure you could speak to this point. You can never have enough test equipment, right?
I know.
And if you work at Keithley and you get an HP thing on your bench, you're gonna rip into it. And you're gonna try it out at least, right?
Of course.
And I'm sure HP guys are Agilent guys are the same. So yeah. I'll miss it, but I've got some stuff at home. What I'm probably gonna do is develop a sickness like you and
and start buying shit on eBay, right?
Yeah, I'm really worried about that.
Yep.
Yeah.
Do it.
I mean, I will.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know about the whole like buy sell thing. Like I'm probably more of just a buy person.
Buy and hoard. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. I got a lot of room on my shelf, so.
See, that's something I've never had. Now, with the new office, I'll have the room, so I'll be able to buy shit.
That's a bad sign, man. And you should tell people what you did buy. Did you tell... You didn't tell the wife yet, did you?
Yeah, but she don't... No, I haven't, but she doesn't listen to the show.
She doesn't listen.
You should probably hear through the door. He's whisper into the microphone.
Okay.
But I've got an arcade machine for the new lab.
That's awesome! Oh, that's so awesome.
Yep.
You better not let her find out. You're so screwed.
Oh, I know. I'm so screwed.
And so you said it was one of those like emulators where it's like the control panel, right? Like an old arcade machine, but it's actually a computer backend.
It's a jammer-based system, and all the people out there will know what I'm talking about, I'm sure.
Yeah, and if not, you can look it up online. Well, we'll try and link to it too. Yeah. What's it called? Jammer? You said jammer-based.
Jammer-based. Yeah.
Oh man, you would be so in trouble. This is like this. That's kind of the problem with your lab, Like you got a lot of room for test equipment now. You're going to be buying you'll probably end up buying like an etcher like Jerry did.
Yeah. Well, I see those sort of really good shit is hard to come by, but I've caught myself going to the auction sites, not just eBay, and looking at all this obscure gear you can get from like medical companies, and I could do with a I could do with an ultrasound machine. Bloody oath, let's...
Yeah, what if we have another kid?
Cool.
Who knows?
Yeah. And I'm looking up all these obscure machines, and they got them for like $10, right? This machine must have cost $20,000, $30,000, right? It's a mass spectrometer or something, right? And I'm going, that's just cool. I wanted for $10. Just
Dave Jones, CSI.
That's right.
Wow.
It's just, so I'm looking up all this, does it do anything useful? And I'm looking up, fluorescent I can't even say it.
Spectroscopy?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah.
Gesundheit. And,
right.
I'm looking up, I don't know what I'd do with it, but it's only $10,
Yeah, shipping, $10,000.
No, but see, I only did the local stuff where you can actually go and pick up.
Oh, that's
you
good.
know,
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
So,
But then you got to buy a
hopefully
truck,
once
right?
the new lab comes in. And I
man.
have a 3D model of the new lab. I tried to use Google SketchUp.
Yeah.
I've
seen it. It's not bad.
I did an okay job, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what you got to do is start loading it up with all your footprints of all your junk you're buying, and then you can,
right.
Yeah.
Just hoard it all in the corner.
Oh my God. Yeah, you're gonna need a storage locker now too.
Yeah, I know.
Honey, we're buying another office.
50 square meters wasn't enough.
Yeah, right.
I've been shortchanged. It's really only 48 square meters.
Oh
Ripped
yeah,
off.
that last two. Oh, that's really gonna do it. Mm.
Bloody walls, thickness of walls.
Yep. Oh man.
Well. Yeah. Anyway, do it. Buy gear. I highly
will.
recommend.
I will.
Yeah. Excellent.
So the last thing I wanted to mention about test and measurement is the thing that I never really mentioned on here, but I always kind of wanted to because I feel like a lot of people don't know about them. Is SMUs, and I called them SMUs to Dave, and he didn't know what the hell they were.
No,
yeah.
no.
Yeah.
Never heard of it.
Yeah. So I worked
SMU,
on those.
yes, of course. But
Okay,
not
yeah.
Schmooze? What?
Shmoo. I didn't say shmoo. I didn't add the SCH. There
Oh,
was
right.
none of that.
Okay.
Yeah. No, but yeah, I love those things, and a lot of people don't know about them. And that's one of those things where if you start using it, you'll get addicted to it. Because I'll plug an LED into one, and I'll program 10 milliamps, and it just does it. You know, it's easy. You know, you just program currents, and it measures voltage. So, well, and the other way around too. And,
It's basically a programmable power supply that can sample back. That's pretty much. That's pretty much it. It's not
a little bit more complicated, but yeah, I mean that's the easiest way to think about it. Yeah.
You can program constant voltage or constant current, and you can measure those back as well, and that's
Right.
pretty much what it does.
Right, and if you go too far in one direction because the impedance of your load changes, it'll say, "Nah, you also programmed." So if you say 1 milliamp and 10 volts, and then your load starts to change and it starts creeping up towards 10 volts, it'll actually stop at 10 volts.
Yep.
And so, yeah, that's what I've been spoiled on. So I'll miss that the most.
Well, you'll have to buy one on eBay or build one.
Or build one. Or actually, so that's another thing I want to talk about. One thing that I never really talked about on here is because of the, because I work for Keithley, whatever.
The conflict of interest, yep.
Yeah, I guess that's kind of conflict of interest. There's an open source one that was a Kickstarter project, and I'm super excited about this. It's called the CEE, which is, I think it's like Compute, Experiment, and Explore or something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. And I'm really excited. If you help fund the Kickstarter, they would give you there's some level of funding where you'd actually get one.
Yeah, they'd send you a kit or something. Yeah, if you give them $100 or something, they'll send you a kit. I don't know what it is, but did they reach their funding target? Because this was ages ago. This was like 9 months ago or something, wasn't it?
Yeah, more than maybe that. No, yeah, about that. They blasted through their funding. They said $6,000 and they got it to $20,000.
Oh, awesome!
So that was back in July.
Yeah,
and awesome. So. Yeah, they got a couple big fund. They got $1,000 funders too, a couple of those, and yeah.
Speaking of which, crowdfunding, they've legalized. Well, there's a senator wants to legalize crowdfunding.
A senator from the U.S. is like really behind. I think he's the one who drafted the legislation with a couple other people.
Right,
but it's actually, the.
What?
United States Congress
senators
might
are
do
actually
something.
doing work?
I know,
They're actually doing work?
That was my first shock as well.
Wow.
Yeah. And so I found this it was on Adafruit first.
Help draft? They usually don't even read these things, let alone draft them.
Right.
I'm just sorry.
My
I'm
lobbyists do my reading
for
for me, yeah. But this is a great idea. I really like it. It's a Wired article. And so basically the idea is, right now, in the U.S. at least, I'm not sure how it is in Australia, if you want to fund someone, if you want to help fund a company, say Ian, the guy who's doing this open source hardware thing, right? If you wanted to, instead of getting a gift for funding, you wanted to actually get a piece of the company. You wanted shares. You wanted
just like Cree. Last week we had on Cree, and they said they did that. Give us a $5,000 check, and we'll give you a share in the company. Right?
But that was all family mostly, right? I mean, that was how they did that.
Yeah, but it's still the same, whether it's family or not. They're taking all this little bits of funding from everywhere.
Right, but there's no way to actually give that person a share of the company, as far as I know. So right now they have to be a family member. I think that's how it goes.
Oh, right. Okay. Right.
And so the idea is basically you open it up and you say, well, why not? Why not let everyone fund everything, right?
Yep.
You limit it at $1,000 per person and $1 million total in funding, and then they actually can have an early stage piece of this business.
Yep.
And so the idea is that would kind of ramp up investment in ideas. Now, personally, I think there's going to be a lot of stupid ideas at the beginning.
Well, it'll be almost like gambling, not investing. It'd be... investing is gambling, often.
Sometimes, yeah, if you're not researching it right. I mean...
it effectively always is. It could always fall out from under you. You're taking a gamble. It's all risk management, right?
Yeah, I guess so. It's almost like angel investing is like gambling, right? We've talked about that on here before.
Well, that's just higher risk, but you can go and buy a house as an investment. It's a relatively low risk, compared to, say, stock in just one company that could fall through the floor.
Right, it's a tangible asset or something.
So because it's a tangible asset, it's always going to have unless if you live in Cleveland, I guess.
Boo.
Yeah. Sorry. Had to get that one in.
That's okay. Yeah, so that's the idea, and that's kind of their justification. It's like, well, people can gamble now, and it's like, well, if you limit it on both sides, I love the idea personally. I think
sounds good.
I think it's a great idea. Now, I think it speaks highly to Dave. Something you always talk about is, you should always try and bootstrap and
always
fund yourself.
Yeah, last resort to take money from somebody else. Last resort.
Exactly, and there's a lot of benefit in that then, because then you think about the difference. You are the only funder at that point. And you basically you own it all. You're in control. Whereas, however this might work, it might if you have a
it's bad. And people want their money back. You will be hounded every day if you take $1,000 from 1,000 people.
Right.
You will have 1,000 people emailing you every week.
Right? Yeah. If you get to $10 million, they're going to say, "I want my $10,000 now," or whatever. Right? I mean, So there will be some diciness to it, but regardless of all that, however it ends up shaking out, it doesn't matter to me. I love the idea regardless. I mean, I think it's a great idea.
The idea is very good. It just needs to be applied cautiously to those who want to do it.
Yeah, if you can avoid it, avoid it.
If you can avoid it, avoid it. It might be a good idea, but it's not the best idea.
That's a good way to say it. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely. So I don't have any companies on the back burner right now, but maybe people out there.
Does it have the ability to do like the Kickstarter thing where you get something tangible in return for your money? Like, you're giving us money, but we're going to give you a kit or a finished product when we build it. Or
I don't think so, because that already exists, right?
In the company.
Yeah,
right?
I think this is more like the...
Then how do you get your money back if you invest it? The only way to get it back is if the company gets bought out or it floats, right? That's it.
I would think so.
You're stuck in the traditional thing where the only way you can get your money back, like if you go work at a startup, right? You risk everything, go work at the start, and they give you a shitload of stock, and that stock's worthless unless the company either floats or maybe gets bought out in some way, shape, or form.
Well, sometimes there's like private exchanges too. I mean, like if you look at like early days of stock too, there was always private exchanges. So you could go to someone and be like, "Can I buy your stock?" And then it's still a tangible asset, a piece of that company that you can buy.
But it's much harder to sell.
Yeah, it would be definitely much harder to sell. But I think what would happen is you'd end up having probably another market, like a smaller stock market, and that would just be this.
Oh, that's what the country needs, another stock market. Yeah,
and then we could sell CDOs on top of that.
And then you can play derivatives on them.
Hey, why not? Yeah, let's place bets on bets on bets on bets on bets. Yeah.
Nothing can go wrong. Guaranteed winner.
All right, Dave. I realize this could be taken advantage of. I don't care. I still don't care. I think it's great. Whatever gets people spending money on good ideas or even stupid ideas, it doesn't matter, right?
All right, fair call.
Yeah. Because if this gets 10 more people trying to make companies and one of them succeeds, good enough for me. I don't care. As long as there's limits on the amount of money that can be spent, and hopefully on the derivative markets that might pop up. Yeah.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
All right, can we change the topic?
Of course.
A hilarious looking Oh, no, a serious-looking engineer. I love this. We had it on last
this
week's
is last week. Yeah.
list, but because we had John on from Cree,
Right.
we didn't really talk about anything but Cree. This is awesome. You have to see the photo, okay? It's pointless unless you actually see the photo.
Yeah.
And you found this on Reddit, right?
Yeah, it was on the front page of Reddit.
And it's a photo of this guy. What's his name? Do we...
I don't know. It was the submitter's father.
Secret, is he?
Yeah, he didn't say who it was. So.
Okay, right. But it's the kid's dad, right? And he took the photo and he posted it on Reddit.
Yep.
Anyway, it's this guy. He's an old guy, and he's standing there, and he's got his arms crossed like this, and he's standing in front of his kick-ass workbench, right? He's got all these instruments. Don't see any Keithley gear there.
There is one I saw. Yeah,
there is.
There's one.
Oh, okay. Oh, I stand corrected.
Yeah, that
right.
to the left of his ear, I think that beige one is really old Keithley gear.
Oh, okay. Right.
Yeah.
Very good. And he's just got this serious look on his face, and it's like, just add the caption down the bottom. Add any caption you want, and it's cool.
Yep. Exactly.
This guy just looks like he can kick your ass at electronics, you know? I just love it. It's brilliant.
Yeah. And there's all these, they already put it into like, what are these stupid site? Quickmeme.com, Reddit always ends up doing that kind of thing. So there's always, they basically apply the captions like, oscillator? Yep. I hardly know her. He's great though.
Yeah.
And the best thing is the title too. I used to think my dad was a nerd. Now I realize he's awesome. Here's a picture I took in front of his workbenches. Basically, the kid doesn't do electronics, but the dad's a big enthusiast. So if you guys are enthusiasts out there in about 60 years, if you have children, he'll think you're really cool. Maybe at 60 years, maybe about 40 years.
Anyway, I just love it.
Yeah.
All he needed, instead of the mobile phone on his pouch, he needed like a pocket. He needed like a calculator, those old-fashioned calculator pouches, or a slide reel
pouches?
Pouch.
Really?
Yeah,
they
had pouches in the 70s. You bet your ass they did.
Really?
Everyone bought their HP 35, and they put it, the big badge of honour for any nerd was to have your calculator pouch on your belt.
Do you have a picture of you wearing with these?
I was.
Do you have a modern day? Do you have one? Maybe that's your next
I am
eBay
not
purchase.
That old. No.
Come on, man. You got to have nerd cred. You got to wear it on your.
I designed my own calculator watch. Thank you very much. Okay?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's got cred. That's more my time. Was the calculator watch cred rather than the? Yeah, I can't believe you don't know about this.
I know about it. The calculator watch?
No, the pouch.
Oh, the pouch. Oh, yeah. Okay.
Calculator belt pouch. It like back in the 50s and the 60s, when they were landing men on the moon.
Back when
right?
nerds were nerds and
and they all wore white shirts and ties.
Yeah, thin black ties, right?
Yeah, right.
Thick
and
black
they all
glasses.
had the slide rule pouches on their belt. You would carry around your slide rule in your pouch, right, on your belt, and that's what you did. And then once the HP 35 came out. The first pocket calculator, you would have the pouch for that. And it had rechargeable batteries. You'd put it in there and you'd walk around campus on all the lab or whatever with your pouch. So if anyone out there, if any listeners still have send us a photo, please, of you wearing your calculator pouch.
Yeah.
In fact,
I'd love to see that.
We'll give you a shout out next week if anyone still has one. And can post a photo.
Or we'll sell it to Dave. Dave would wear it anytime, right?
I wonder if there's any on eBay. I could search right now.
That's what I said.
Calculator pouch.
Yeah. All right. Well, when you look for that, I'm going to talk about another workbench because this guy's in front of
the
guy we're talking about is in front of a great workbench. Paul Rako, one of the analog guys at EDN, he posted about Barry Gilbert, he's written a couple books about analog, and I don't know if it's Op-Amp Cookbook or which one it is. But Barry Gilbert's this great analog devices fellow, basically. And so Paul Rako did a workbench photo shoot, and not sure if he sent it in or whatever, but this is just like high-end beyond high-end. Like tubes out the wazoo, test equipment, like different modules for like the modular
Tech 7000
scopes.
series scopes,
yeah.
modular scopes, yeah.
Oh, it's just gorgeous. Everything. I mean, and granted, like the lab is really cleaned up, but I mean, like cabinets all over the place, and what is this even? The thinking station. He's got 8 dozen javelin sharp pencil. I mean, like, this is like OCD on crack, right? But I mean, just beautiful bench. I mean, microscope and the old tube tech scopes. He's even got like a synth station and like a reel to reel. Oh man, it's just like this is like nerd heaven right here. You can't really tell the size of the lab, but it probably looks like 15 by 15 feet or 5 by 5 meters. And it's
so.
gorgeous.
This is a workbench of the week.
Yeah, well, not directly, but yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Maybe the workbench of the century. I don't know how many people could beat this kind of thing.
Well, it's just old school, right? That's the.
Well, it's old school and also, well funded. I'm sure that a fellow at ADI is probably doing pretty well.
Right? Yeah, you suspect so.
But
there's big money in engineering, folks. Stick with it.
I don't know about that one, Dave. Yeah.
We're all eking out a living, right? I mean, you haven't been able to take a holiday in 10 years, right? Yeah, you poor bastard. Yeah.
Not 10 years. I've been out of school 5 years, Dave. Yeah.
Oh, you only been working. Yeah, you're a young whippersnapper.
Yeah, I am.
Yeah. So it was your first job, right? No, Keithley wasn't your first job. You used to work at a Samsung.
Yeah, in a fab. I used to work in a
fab.
Yep, I don't miss that.
Right. Yeah, working in those production environments, huh?
I used to wear. I was talking. Well, I mean, I asked John Edmond about bunny suits last week, and I used to wear bunny suits. So. Yeah. I don't miss that at all.
Can I add this to the list for today? This is freaking hilarious.
Okay. Go ahead.
The Large Hadron Collider.
Oh.
You must add this.
I added this. Yeah.
This is actually old. Electronics, but it's just hilarious. This is just, I've got to say.
I couldn't not put it on here.
Some guy was arrested trying to sabotage the Large Hadron Collider.
Right. And this is actually back when they were.
Did he get in the front door or what? Did
he posed as like a maintenance guy or a security guy, and basically.
Yeah. And it was dressed strangely, and he was arrested for trying to sabotage it. And his story is that he's from the future. He's from the future, and they discovered the Higgs boson, which led to unlimited power and the elimination of poverty and Kit Kats for everyone. This is his quote. Kit Kats for everyone. It is a communist chocolate hellhole, and I'm here to stop it ever happening.
Yeah. Obviously, this guy had a lot of issues. Even if he was from the future,
you'd think
he'd be a little more convincing if he was from the future.
I know, you'd think he'd be able to come up with a better story than a communist Kit Kat plot.
Yeah. It's brilliant.
What? It's just brilliant. Sorry, that's funny.
It's a great article. People should definitely check. I found it somewhere on like Twitter or Google Plus or something. It's a lot of fun. You have a lot of time when you're not working anymore.
Right? You do.
I found myself. I have to like battle against like just the online. Now that I have all this non-working time, like just for the week, I got to make sure I don't go too deep down the rabbit hole of Twitter stories and Google Plus and everything else. And yeah. But speaking
you were hanging out on Google Plus last night, begging me to join you.
I was, I was over at Evil Mad Scientist Labs.
Unbelievable.
They set up a camera at their party, and so I was a little nerd in the corner drinking a beer on a computer screen, and people were nice enough to come by and talk to me. It was great.
So you were in the corner of the room.
At
the party.
I was like that nerdy kid.
With the telepresence, right?
Yeah, exactly. And next time, hopefully, we'll have a robot I can control. But
good. That is just. I didn't know that. You didn't tell me there was a party happening.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
I would have laughed at you even harder.
Yeah, I know, right? Well, speaking of telepresence and people from the future, I want to bring up this other thing about the future.
There's a segue there?
Oh, yeah, there's a segue there. It's about the future, Dave. Basically, they figured out a way to, on chip, right? So in silicon, they figured out a way, and we were talking about transducers before, too, so there's a little segue there, too. They figured out a way on chip with silicon to do optical communication.
Yeah, they've been researching that stuff for a decade.
No, they actually need to have actual something that takes, like an LED basically. So you go from an electrical signal and then you flash an LED. This is actually you pulse a current through something and it actually transmits a photon.
All right. Okay. Got it.
Yeah. And so basically this will allow on-chip optical communication without needing like fancy processing and stuff. Basically what it means is they're going to be able to start doing, I mean, granted this is like a future thing, right? So this is is at an MIT lab right now, but they're showing it's possible. So basically you can now create photonics in a fab. So you can do high density, high volume.
I was going to say, what's the advantage? Is it lower power? Is it faster? Is it
Well, think about it. Before, you had to have some kind of special way of getting from a chip, right? Because right now, you're right, that some things have optical transceivers. But basically, I think what they do is they actually have to connect a bond wire from
I think that, something like that.
Separate component that actually does that optical transmission from an electrical signal, right? Now, if you're doing it on a chip, basically, electrical signal in, photon out, right?
Yeah.
And it's all done in a fab, and so it's just another part of your chip process. So, you do your normal 300 steps.
That's fantastic. What's the advantage?
Cheaper,
Sell it
faster.
To me, son.
Yeah, it's cheaper, it's faster, and it's easier to do. Well, not easier to do necessarily.
Is it higher density? Is it lower power?
It would be higher density, yeah, because you'd be able to... Think about it, like if before you needed... Say you had a 1 millimeter by 1 millimeter silicon die, right? And then you would need some other maybe small, but some other piece of material that, actually does that electronic...
Hang on, is this just data transmission, or is it actually built-in transistors and stuff like that? Actually circuitry? Or is it just a way to transmit data across the die?
That I don't know.
Well, that's $1 million question, isn't it?
It says,
come on, dude. Do some research.
Come on, I've been doing other stuff all day.
You've got all the time in the world.
Oh, you should talk. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Whatever, people can read it, but it's all
right.
It's a big deal. This is a big deal, people. This is a big deal. Yeah.
Fine.
Yeah. Fine. That's the future. I'm not even talking about printable electronics, and I've got stuff on the list I could talk about.
Right. I've got something from the forum. Somebody, we've talked about oscilloscopes and test equipment and product design. In fact, I've got a couple of things on the list for that. Surprise, surprise. So we'll go back to it.
Huh?
Yeah, go figure.
Yeah.
This is from the forum, and somebody complained. I did my video, I was working, my scope. I was showing waveforms and stuff on there. And somebody, his name is, his username is, let me get it right here. No, I probably won't. Yes, Manolus.
Yeah.
Manolus. On the asked, can I use different color traces because he can't see the difference in the colors because he's colorblind. Yeah. And, well, okay, fair enough. And I know nothing about color blindness apart from, it's not good if you're into electronics because you can't read resistor color codes and you obviously can't view scope traces like that. You can't see the difference.
Or even Excel plots or anything like that.
Or Excel plots and graphs and, it'd be really annoying in electronics to be colorblind. And, well, is that a design oversight on the part of Agilent? And there's talk on the forum about some massive percentage of people are colorblind. And, there's different versions of colorblind and, depending on how they all...
I think the majority is on the Y chromosome too. I think so. It's mostly male, but not significant. Right. Or not exclusively male.
Yep. And I don't know. Is it bad product design? Is it a design oversight?
How would you do it differently? Maybe would you do dotted lines? I don't know. I mean, that's usually what I come down to. It's like try to put myself in their shoes.
Or you choose the right colours. But I know that HP are one of the leaders, and this goes back to the original HP 35 calculator, by the way. Hey. We're segueing everything today. All right, we're joining all the dots here for you, folks.
Oh, yeah. And dots, not coloured lines, of course.
No, because they famously put a lot of research into what text overlay colours would go on the front of the calculator. They did a lot of research. They did papers on it and everything. What is the optimal colour for contrast and quick viewing and all that sort of stuff. So HP actually have a very deep history in this, in choosing the right colours for stuff. So, yeah, I'm not sure if it goes into Agilent today. I do know for a fact that the waveform button on the new is blue because the designers liked blue and they wanted a blue LED on it, and that's it.
Yeah.
That was the sole design. Okay, fine, it's a blue, it's a blue button. Fine,
Just like those Volkswagen guys.
That's right. They just
Yeah.
right. The guys who designed it just wanted at least one blue LED on the whole scope, so they got one. But yeah, I mean,
I don't know. I mean, that's what I always try and do is I try and put myself in their shoes, and it's like I don't know what I'd do. How would you do it differently? It's kind of hard when there's existing solutions, to start
the
branching
obvious
out.
one is you've got to have you'd have a dotted trace, or you'd have like a little 2 next to it or 1 next to it, but then there's extra clutter on the display, and then that annoys people who aren't colorblind, I guess. So there's got to be a trade-off there, but it's all software these days, right? They can select this sort of stuff in firmware.
That's an interesting idea. I mean, that wouldn't have been the case with like an old CRT scope or something, but
no, that's right.
These days, yeah. I don't know.
Well, I don't know what they're complained about anyway. When I was a boy, you had a CRT scope and it was green, and all the traces looked the same, and there's no text on the screen.
You were happy for a second waveform there, right?
You were happy for a second trace. That's right. Yeah, you were living the good life when you had that second trace.
You could line them up, and
yeah, that's right.
I don't know. Maybe that's maybe that's going to be the competitive advantage because, the only thing I can really speak about from the test and measurement side of things is that there's a buttload of competition from like the low end from like China. Obviously you talk about Rigel all the time, right? I mean, you like Rigel scopes, and I think you even had something about how they slashed the price on their 100.
Yes, we'll get onto that. We'll segue into that one as well.
So I mean, you start to run into issues of like, well, where do you really go if you're in the test and measurement industry, which is a cool industry, how do you really justify charging a lot more for scopes? And you really need to start having some cool features. And it's always a problem because the general hardware, like the off-the-shelf hardware, keeps getting better, right? That's what the chip makers want to keep doing. Yeah. And if you could cheaply put that into a Rigel scope or a low-end DMM, then you start to really lose a lot of market share, and that really hurts. So you really have to play to your customers' needs, and maybe that's one of them.
Yeah, and possibly we've talked about this here on this before, but I don't like to say there's collusion in the industry, but it's sort of like an unspoken rule, perhaps, that, if you're an oscilloscope manufacturer, for example, and you can offer, a 1 gigahertz scope for $100, you're not going to do it because that then slaughters the market for everyone else and potentially for you as well. Because then everyone else would, and it lowers the whole bar and it lowers the margins for everyone. Right. So companies, they want to keep their margins high, so they're not going to suddenly, give you a 500 megahertz scope for $100.
Right.
Because then where's the margin, right? There's no margin in the high-end gear anymore. If you can get the high-end gear for $100, the company you're going to go out of business.
Well, I think in general,
just because
most
you can
businesses,
do it,
you're gonna try and charge as much as you can as a marketable bear, right?
So that's right.
Especially in like lower volume stuff. I would charge. Dave, if you would buy a widget off of me and I could charge you $10,000, I would not feel bad about charging you $10,000, even if the cost to make that widget was $10.
That's right. Because it's so that's how the industry works. A company would just be crazy to undercut themselves, basically. It just
because then you have to make so many more, even just to supply your own customers, and you have to supply the whole market at that point, and then you can't, and you'll look stupid.
And that's possibly why the entry level oscilloscope up until very recently has still been that 25 megahertz. Maybe it upped it to 50 once that Rigel sort of price point came down, kind of thing. But now this is what we were talking about before. Rigel have now slashed the price of their 100 megahertz model to be the same as their 50 megahertz model. Yep. So basically, all of the dealers are now, actually last week, if you bought a 50 megahertz model for $399, they will now give you the 100 megahertz model.
Yeah,
which
and
some of
my friends were actually
selling.
They were selling their. They didn't want to do the firmware hack themselves, so they're like, I'm just going to sell my scope and buy the other one, and why not, right? I mean,
that's right, because it's exactly the same scope, as you know. It's
I've seen your
times
video.
Over.
Have you done that? Have you done that on yours?
Yes, yes.
Interesting.
Yes, I hacked it. It's in.
haven't done
I've got a special boot up screen on mine. It boots up with my
fancy.
picture on there.
Really? That's great.
Yeah.
That's great.
Oh boy!
And interestingly, Rygal's U.S. headquarters in Cleveland. Did you know that?
No, I did not know. It's in Cleveland,
Yeah.
which is not Detroit.
Not Detroit. Again, not Detroit. Very good, Dave. You're learning geography. Yeah.
No,
See,
I did not
that's
know
what I
that.
like. I like that I can
excellent.
talk about test and measurement now. I know that.
Yeah, exactly.
I know one of
it's
their
great.
guys.
See, isn't this cool? We're talking about
This is
our,
great.
Our,
Yeah.
our industry toys.
Shooting
You
the
should have quit
breeze
a
and-
long time ago. That's true.
Yeah.
Oh boy, that's terrific. But yeah, like, so is this? So what does this mean? They've dropped the price point of this scope. So is now this sort of a new benchmark for the low end scope industry, where they've suddenly jumped to 100 megahertz, which will be the new entry-level price point? Or will they just lower the bottom end? You know, they'll still sell their 50 megahertz one, but they'll sell it for $200 instead of $400. What's going to happen here in the industry?
Big moves can really, that could shake some
Yeah.
stuff up. I mean,
Yeah,
there's
it can.
always a lower level, right? I mean, like there's so much carbon stuff that's in there, right? Not even necessarily carbon, right? There's metal and everything else too.
Yeah.
But in terms of just, raw materials coming out of the ground, like some of that is not cheap. If you like a power supply, right? If you've got a crappy power supply, if you have a heat sink on there, there's some chunk of aluminum that is
It costs
just
money,
aluminum,
and iron in the transformer and the copper
Yeah,
and the
exactly.
windings. It all, it costs money.
Yeah,
it all costs
exactly.
money. You can't build something for infinitely cheap.
Right, and as it starts to approach that, I mean, you give up a lot on quality of the device, but over time,
Yeah.
I think that gets, as it gets easier and easier to build something simple. I've seen a video where this crazy guy builds a power supply. Oh, it's a horrible video. It's 3 videos. They drag on forever.
Oh, about 40 minutes each. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
Who the hell would upload shit like that?
I know. It was good. I liked it. But yeah,
You liked
it's-
it. I didn't.
Oh, I did. I liked it. I
Guy
didn't-
just yaps on. Some
Yeah.
weird accent. I don't know.
Speaking of, we should
Ridiculous.
mention that too. Some of your
I kill filed
competitor.
him.
Did you see your competitor? Alan Yates, one of our former guests.
Hey, Alan.
Yeah, he's doing this great thing. He's doing the advent calendar of electronics.
I have
see
no
it?
idea what that is. It's
An advent
it's some religious thing, right?
Yeah, it's religious.
Which is weird because he's an atheist.
I know, but it's just a term.
It's just a term, right?
I used to do this as a kid. It's like this little calendar. You flip days up until Christmas, and yeah, there's religious stuff of it too. But mostly for me, it was just a countdown for days until presents, right?
Right, yeah, of course. Yeah, that's right.
So you get these kids all juiced, and some of them have chocolate, little pieces of chocolate in there. Anywho,
See, right. I've never heard of the term.
okay,
I've never heard of the
you learned
advent
something new today,
calendar.
buddy.
There you go.
Yeah. But Alan's been doing these great circuits. He's doing build-ups, and I thought of it because he did a power supply on day 1 or 2. And it was real simple. I think it was even simpler than yours. It was just 3904s and 3906s.
Yep.
But yeah, he is knocking them out of the park. Uh-oh. Dogs barking at the Gamble household. It must be getting close to the end of the show. This is like a common theme now.
Right.
I'm going to start triggering the dog somehow. I'll knock on a window or something.
I can barely hear it. I don't think the audience can hear it.
Oh, well.
It's only us.
Yeah. Well.
Yeah. Anyway,
Anyways.
yeah, Alan's he's doing a circuit every day until Christmas.
Yeah.
Or is it Christmas or is it New Year?
I'm not sure. I hope it's New Year just so they keep going.
Right.
They're awesome. He's getting into RF stuff and it's
Cool.
It's awesome. It's awesome. So it is almost amp hours almost up though. I will say that.
Come on, we must have a shonky product or something we can add in.
We do. Oh, there's a good one. Oh, there's a really good one. It's a USB cable. Have you seen? You didn't see it?
I've seen this, yes. I
You've
have
seen it?
Well, I'm not sure if it's the same one. People send me this sort of stuff all the time because I've got that audio file video out there.
Right,
and,
right.
Yeah. People go, take a look at this one. Can you debunk this one? And
Yeah.
it's like,
I mean, this is
it's
too
not
easy at
worth
this
it.
point, right?
Anyway, this is what is it? How do you pronounce it? The Sinosure.
Sinosure, yeah.
Yes.
It's
And it's by the
unbelievable.
Locust Design Group. Is it?
And,
Yes.
yeah,
let's get them right there. Let's call them
Locust
out
Design
correctly.
Group, the total crap. And I'm reading it at first. Who sent it to me? It was Sheldon Bailey sent it to me. And And, I'm reading it. I'm like, oh, yeah, we built this with like a, wired wrapped, it's a USB cable, and so, custom braid and everything else like that.
Yeah, it's a fine construction,
Right. And then,
they
and then
put
I
a lot
do
of effort
this
into
and
construction,
that,
as they do with these shonky products.
Right, exactly. Yeah. And then I'm like getting down to the bottom. Oh, yeah, I had problems with this and that and whatever else.
Yeah.
And I get down to the bottom. $3,500 for 3-foot cable. I'm like, what the hell?
As far as shonky products go, that's actually a reasonable price.
No.
Yeah.
3 feet of a USB cable, Dave? Come on.
There is more. I think you'll find that there are more expensive ones out there. But, yep.
Oh, my God.
It's pretty bad, huh?
Any customed cable may be returned within 30 days and a 20% restocking fee. So what's 20% of $3,500? That's $700 he gets once you realize you got hamstrung.
Yeah. And aren't they individually burned in? And yes, they're hand built, they're burned in and evaluated in one of my reference systems by me personally. Wow, terrific. Yeah, they're burnt
people
in.
Are so stupid. You know what? He wouldn't be selling them if people didn't buy them.
No,
someone
exactly.
out there is buying
there's
them.
a market. There's a market for everything. There's a sucker board every minute.
Every minute.
Yeah.
And good God, those suckers have a lot of money.
Yeah, they do. I wish I'd thought of the whole audiophile industry. I'd be a billionaire by now.
I know. Yeah.
Well. No, I've got too much of a conscience to rip people off like that.
There's another one of my friends from work actually. He sent me a thing. Oh, go ahead.
Oh, okay, but if it actually takes them a long time to hand build these things, then you could almost. I'll give this benefit to the this shonky product industry, right? If they're handmade like this and the guy's sweating, he takes a week to build the things. He's got all these exotic materials and stuff. Then it might actually be worth $3,200 just in labor and time and sweat and energy to actually build one of these things. But
assuming this guy's valuable in any way, shape, or form.
Assuming that
assuming he could
build
actually build something useful other than a USB cable.
Yeah, and I'm sure they don't churn these things out by the millions, right? He's building,
No, there's no market for that.
He's building, 100 a year or something. He's
Right.
building one a day or something like that. And, there's some value in that, but the fact remains they don't they make a rat's ass
It's still a USB cable, right? If you're
That's right.
If you want a gold-plated USB cable, perhaps I could sell you a gold-plated turd of mine. That's. It's just as useful, really. Yeah, it's something that actually could be valuable. I'm not so sure about it. There's actually a thing my friend told me about called Past Labs, and I think this guy's actually like a pretty significant amplifier builder, but he actually uses high-voltage silicon carbide FETs in his build. Now, I'm not sure if they actually do anything, but I thought the site itself is pretty cool. And he's got some good articles on his site just about building Class A, Class B kind of stuff and feedback and distortion. So I thought I'd add that in too. And it's not super shonky, but it was a follow up from when we talked about high voltage silicon carbide FETs, and we talked to John last week about silicon carbide. So
cool.
It's cool. Some people are using it, I guess. So
I'll add one more thing, which has been on here for a couple of weeks.
Okay.
Because we have to get ham radio for the bingo sheet thing. Here's the ham radio thing. There's a ham radio kit. Somebody pointed out. Sorry, I forget who. And it's an awesome freaking looking kit. I think it's about $700 or something. So it's not, like for a transceiver. This is actually a transceiver, right? A full-on ham transceiver. And there's two versions. There's one where it's the boards are pre-built. And there's an older model where it's all discrete components. And there's a lot of components in this sucker. Yeah. You could spend a week assembling this thing. Oh, yeah.
Right. And
that's what you can spend. That's what you can spend your week off doing, assembling one of these ham kits.
Yeah. And
to go off your ham license.
It's actually Dave Richards, who I think we've been. I think Dave is the one who did the Manhattan technique when we had focused on that. And he's actually the one talking about this and building this, so. Yeah, it's great looking. It is a great looking kit, but it looks like you better build and test as you go along, because you don't want to try and troubleshoot this thing once it's done.
Well, apparently the instructions are really good, and it's actually a really top performer. So
nice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, maybe I'll have to do this once my license and all my buddies are.
It's the K2. It's the K2 kit.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah, it's great. All right, cool. Well, I guess that's the hour of AMP, huh?
It is. It's all done and dusted.
Yep.
And you're a free man for the rest of the week, and then
Rest of the week?
you're back to Dilbert.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
It'll
next
be
week,
exciting for a while.
next week we might do a Christmas show.
What?
Yeah, Christmas show. Dave just learned about it.
What the hell do you do on a Christmas show?
You talk about, LED Blinky projects and everything. Yay!
Yeah, that's how to get them coming back for more. We have blinky LEDs on next week's episode.
Hey, whatever. We had LEDs last week, so
yeah, we did.
little different.
True.
Little different. Yeah.
All right.
So Google Plus, we know you can find us on there. The Amp Hour on there. You can find Dave at EEV Blog on Twitter. Me at Chris_Gamble. And what else we got? Yeah, tons of crap. Go to our site.
I probably got a Facebook page
comment
or
on the
some
site.
crap like
Comment
that.
on the site. Yeah. All right, guys. Well, I'm gonna go build some projects and clean up my bench. So.
Sweet. Have fun.
See you next week, Dave.
Bye. Obligatory burps.
I shouldn't drink beer when I'm doing the show, but it's so hard not to. I got my week off,